Hello and welcome to my lounge. I am Osasano Quarry. Last time we spoke about simulation, which was the third episode in the blog series Epiphanies of Rebirth. And today we are continuing the series and we're speaking about the realization, the epiphany, which I now have retagged the realization. So last week, we spoke about simulation. We were trying to understand whether or not we were like Dolores Abernathy in the series Westworld, where she said no to the question, have you ever questioned the nature of your reality? And today, we want to unpack that unsettling feeling some more. And here, we are trying to consider why unsettling feeling, or whether it is the unsettling feeling is an outrageous idea that reality, my reality was merely an illusion. Why did I have the unsettling feeling in the first place? And isn't that questioning or an indication that my reality was merely an illusion? Is it even comprehensible to think that your reality is merely an illusion? Would you ever even think about that? In your self-discovery, just like I am going through a self-discovery phase, would you ever pause to think, or would you ever unpack an unsettling feeling that indicated that your reality was merely an illusion? So this realization that I'm about to unfold with you today stemmed from that series. When I watched it for the first time 7 years ago, then after I had embarked on my freedom agenda in 2017, when I started the series Westworld, and continually Dolores mentioned no, or answered the question no, that her reality, she's never questioned the nature of her reality. But that gave me an unsettling feeling. But it's not comprehensible to think that you are living in an animated world. Where does one even begin to dissect such a supposition? It sounds like a riddle to be ignored rather than a puzzle to be solved. It's an unfathomable concept that I was controlled by a counterfeit system. But was I controlled by a counterfeit system? That's the question. The unsettling feeling led me to almost ignore the fact that maybe I was controlled by something else, a counterfeit system that wasn't originally, it's not originally my voice, it's not originally my thought, it's not originally my being that is doing this, what God intended for me, or what my divinity could do. I was limiting my capacities by a system that was designed for me to fit in. Somehow, this mysterious notion put down roots, which slowly grew, thankfully, into manifold stems of fluorescent screens. The featured image for this article showed you a woman looking into fluorescent screens surrounded by infrared lights to give her a better vision, or a clearer vision, to look and dissect this puzzle, whether or not I lived in a counterfeit system in an animated world. Thankfully for those infrared lights and the fluorescent screens, the scanner, the telescope, or whatever you want to call it, those screens gave me insight into my life, and I had to question the reason for the unsettling feeling. and whether or not my life was just merely an illusion. And this fluorescent screen was revealing to me the hidden patterns in my pre-programmed world. It was engineered by civilized world orders over multiple regimes with the objective, the sole objective, of assuming control. Can you comprehend that? Is it even comprehensible that the world we live in is a civilized world order that was engineered over multiple regimes with the sole objective of assuming control over us? Or is this just, does this sound like a conspiracy theory to you? The ethos of my free will was altered long before my genesis, before I was born. My free will had already been stolen before I was born by the civilized world orders that had been in the generations and the centuries before I was born. And this was an institutionalized system with methodologies largely successful at stifling our natural capacities for intuition and higher consciousness. Let me unpack that for a moment. The system we live in, this civilization, is an institution. Do you believe that? With methodologies largely successful at stifling our natural capacities, our capabilities for intuition. We are so external in this world. We are so externalized. This institution has made us so focused on our five senses, which are external senses. But we've forgotten our divine senses, the internal senses. We have our intuition and our ability to have a consciousness that exists, this plain consciousness that we see with our eyes, that we feel with our skin, that we taste with our mouth, that we smell, that we touch. But there are divine senses that we'll come to unpack later in another episode further down the line, that we could dig into our internal intuition that is stronger and more capable, our divinity, because we were created in the image of God. Do you believe that? All of a sudden, the profoundest depth of my human character was revealed. That's where the epiphany happened, the realization. When I tried or sat down and tried to unpack whether or not this unsettling feeling could have some truth to it. And all of a sudden, after trying to unpuzzle this riddle, I discovered that the profoundest depth of my human character was that I was in an illusion, living in a world that was animated, dictated by norms, societal norms, dictated by a system that has been institutionalized since the first man stepped the earth. My narrow mind could not pierce through my limiting horizons into spheres of ever-expanding realization. My mind was so narrow. It was so narrow, so closed out by just the five senses, the external world and the civilized world order I'm existing in, that it couldn't pierce through limiting horizons, because I was already limited by my five senses. External, everything is external in this world. We don't dig in, we don't sense our intuition, we don't connect with our intuition, the higher consciousness within us, which takes us to a higher place of existence, of being. And with the foreground of my existence now epiphanized, I was caught between a rock and a hard place. Where do I go from here? Discovering that my life was just an illusion. I was living in a delusional world, an animated world. Where do I go to from here is the question. I was stuck between a rock and a hard place, and this uncovering or unpacking or discovering that the foreground of my existence was based on a pre-programmed system. So now, in this very difficult place, my choices were crystal clear. It was either self-deception or self-annihilation. Those were my choices. my choices. Self-deception or self-annihilation, self-destruction. Because life, what's the point of living? What's the point of living when you discover that your life is just an illusion? You're living in a reality that is, you are just a host for a voice that has been authored by someone else, by a civilized world order and institution, focused on stifling and stealing your control, your free will. So I didn't want to kill myself, obviously. Self-deception was the undeniable choice, the sensible choice. Why would I want to destroy myself is the first question. But let's ask an even deeper question. Who am I? Who am I? Who is myself? Split the word myself into two. Myself. Who is myself? Am I merely a physical form I see in the mirror? When I look into the mirror, is that me? Is that myself? Is that myself? Two words. Just like the second image in my blog showed you, which you can see now. If you haven't read the blog, go read it again. The Epiphany. So this image showed a woman standing in front of a mirror with lots of reflections of her in different forms. It was different from what she looked like, the physical form that the mirror showed her something else. Is that what we all love to look in the mirror, the man in the mirror, as Michael Jackson said. Make that change. Maybe you also need to make that change. I am trying to go through the process of making that change, self-discovery, questioning. That's what led me here. That image was different from what she looked like. So that's just a definition of self-deception. And I chose self-deception. It was an undeniable choice, the sensible choice, because I didn't want to destroy myself. And in the system that is so suffocating, I had no choice but to be delusional, to deceive myself. Who is myself is the question today. Myself, I believe, is a non-physical, unified entity. Not what I see when I look in the mirror. That's just the form. But myself is a non-physical, unified entity that is made up of a collection of perceptions, of thoughts and experiences, a product of social and cultural influences. The synthesized form became my identity. It became my character, the essential quality of my being. That's who myself is, myself. It's just a synthesized form of a collection of perceptions, of thoughts and experiences, a product of a social and cultural system, influences. Daniel Dennett said in his theory of the self, he said selves are a convenient fiction. We tell stories to make sense of our world. We feature as a character in those stories, and the convenient and fictional character is the self. Can you unpack that? We are just a fictional character. We are a convenient fiction in a story, like a movie. We create stories and we believe that, and that is our convenient and fictional character that we call ourselves. And we label as this, as that, our persona for this situation, for that situation, our masks we wear. That is the self, the outer self. But if we let go just a little of our physical senses, our external senses, and we dig deep for intuition, for the divinity within us that God made in his image. So we have divine capabilities, higher consciousness, intuition. Maybe we can let go of this fictional self we have created. Do you think that's possible? Can you let go of the external world, of the civilized world order, and dig deeper to discover your true self, the one inside you, the one that is very primitive, that is yet to be discovered, begging to be discovered. So now that we have unpacked what the self is, and we have discovered the illusory nature of my existence had been fully uncovered, my external world began to feel very foreign to me. I didn't want to be in this world anymore. I felt like an alien lost in a lonely planet, completely lost in a lonely planet. I hated my narrative, the narrative I had created with blood, sweat, and tears, the real, I thought, narrative, but it was just a fake narrative. I hated it. The career focused, wealth and power hungry Mrs. Independent. I didn't want that narrative anymore. It felt alien to me. I felt lost in a lonely planet. There was a tug of war, a constant tug of war going on. A constant tug of war was going on between my inner self and my outer self. They were fighting a battle. Would we reach truth is the question. Will we achieve a place where we call truth, or would one be defeated? Painstakingly fashioned, my outer self had been painstakingly fashioned with over a whole decade. I worked so hard to move from 2010 to now almost 10 years has gone by. I was now an investment banker living in the dream, my career dream in corporate finance, the Wall Street of banking, investment banking. I had worked so hard from the place of being a poor article clerk in 2010 to an auditor, to a qualified chartered accountant, to a consultant at Deloitte, a manager, to credits at a bank, to investment banking at an investment bank. I had worked from audit, chartered accountant, consultant at Deloitte, a manager, working at Barclays now as a corporate credit, corporate banking. From corporate banking, I made another leap to my career dream, investment banking at Barclays, living my dream. But now it felt foreign to me. I didn't want that narrative anymore, Mrs. Independent, the career focused, power and wealth hungry Mrs. Independent. My body, I was going through a tug of war, a constant tug of war between my inner self and my outer self. My outer self was saying, "You've worked so hard. You've worked with, like, you've shed tears, blood, sweat. Would you give it up?" So self-deception was the only choice. This persona I had created, this Mrs. Independent, nourished the elegant structure of my human physique. What is your human physique? Isn't it just a tool to carry your mind, where it is endless, what you can do with your mind if you just dig deeper into your true self and unpack that and discover yourself every day? You can discover the human physique, would just be a tool. Your mind, time and space is all you need to craft and to reach the potential that your divinity affords you. Should I give it all up? Was the question. What will I be giving it up to? What will I be giving it up to? Will I be giving it up to an unknown, still to be discovered inner self? What is even that? Who is my inner self? I know now that the outer self is just a fictional character. But who is this inner self worth exploring or discovering? There was a great deal to lose. And unfortunately, I made a decision that self-deception was the right choice and the only choice, the undeniable choice, because I couldn't let go. For me to let go of this, a divine intervention had to occur. But self-deception was what I chose, despite the realization, despite the epiphany. I chose to live with in a delusional world. I chose to live with in an illusion. My reality, I chose to maintain my reality, the reality that was just an illusion. Self-deception was the right choice. Do you feel this way? Do you relate to my story? I hope that this epiphany, the realization, might connect with you. You will start to question that unsettling feeling you might have about the nature of your reality, just like the Dolores did in the series Westworld. You might, for a moment, pause from this hustle and bustle. You might pause and realize whether or not the civilized order we are living in of consumerism, of capitalism, of just selfishness and our external, everything is external. There's nothing about discovering our true self, our inner consciousness, the higher consciousness, our intuition, the divine senses that we have, the divine senses within us that God has put in us. If we just step aside from this constructed, pre-programmed world, this system of the world that is stifling and suffocating. I leave you with that today. Think about it. Maybe you might have the same realization I came to, but hopefully you make the better choice, because I chose to be self-delude myself, to be delusional, because there was so much to lose. 10 years of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget, like, subscribe, and I leave you again with lots of lights, a huge light bulb outside the light bulb, huge. A light bulb, see the light. I also leave you with lots of love, lots and lots of love. 3 times, 10 times worth of it. Discover the love within you, not the love that people you seek outside. It's inside. The true love is right here. And lastly, I leave you with peace, lots of peace, joy, contentment, tranquility. Till next time, like, subscribe. Goodbye. See you next time, next week. God bless.